Some nights I wish that my lips could build a castle. Some nights I wish they'd just fall off. But I still wake up, I still see your ghost. Oh Lord, I'm still not sure what I stand for. What do I stand for? What do I stand for? Most nights I don't know anymore.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the broadcast here. Yes, I have returned to the airways. It is Thursday, and it is a very interesting day as it is, March 14th, and was very bright and sunny today here in Colorado. The temperature reached, nearly 70. It was quite interesting. The snow is almost melted. Spring has begun, and life is starting to unfold. I wish to say welcome to everyone out there in the listening land, everyone on Rents Radio Broadcast, on the Oracle Broadcast Network, and on the Next News Network. I also want to welcome everybody in the chat room. As you will see, I'm not in the chat room today, but that's okay. If anybody wants to take part in the chat room and communicate with those people who are in the chat room, feel free to jump in there if you're interested in calling in or whatnot. The telephone number to do so is displayed at the bottom of the chat room, so you guys can jump in there and pick up that number and so forth, because today we're going to... there's news. There's lots of news out there, and I could be talking about it. But the biggest thing that I want to talk about today is a conversation that I've been having now. Well, it started. I started thinking about it myself about a month and a half ago. And over that month and a half, I spoke to a numerous number of people. People here within my family, neighbors, and people on the internet. Lots of different people. And we continue to have this conversation. And a lot of people take the opposing side because they believe in their own minds that somehow they're evolved past some particular point. And they always say that, you have different arguments. And what am I really talking about? Well, when it really boils down to it, they think that they are mentally evolved, that human beings have somehow grown, that the world is different, that somehow something has changed, okay? That human beings march on into the future, and they're ever changing. Well, they're ever innovating, is what I say. Change? Well, hopefully today we can have part of that discussion, because I don't believe that there are sparks of change. And when we talk about freedom, when we talk about liberty, when we talk about what's going on in the world, it ultimately boils down to a conversation of the freedom-minded people defending themselves. And ultimately it boils down to most of the people believe themselves to be evolved past the point of violent activity and violent action. People argue that people who think in those terminologies are somehow Cro-Mag, or unevolved, unenlightened. And the reality to me is that for them it's an illusion. Their state of mental being is an illusion. Nothing has changed. And I'm hopefully for those that I emailed and told that were in the conversation, and some have actually seen the light, I guess as you could call it, and have started to communicate and understand more of what I'm saying. And I'm hopefully to include more people today and start this conversation at home, in your homes. And you have it with the people who are around you and the people that you care about. Now, the biggest thing is that somehow we're evolved, past some type of angry society, that violence is never an answer. And, that the world has grown out of such things with the large gun debate, attempting to take away, an American's personal freedom to own his own firearms. And especially now that there is a much bigger splash, as some people that I've communicated with in certain circles that I've been emailing in and around are making the argument of the people under the Constitution being as well armed as the military. The argument is actually gaining some steam. Now, granted, they're talking down to those people and so forth. But the reality, let's look at the reality. That somehow we are evolved beyond a state of cave-dwelling tribalism. I mean, this is really what it boils down to. That somehow people believe that there are no longer cave-dwelling tribal men or cave-dwelling tribal women. That hunting and gathering, that this is what they date to. They talk about how that things have evolved so much further, and I'm willing to prove them wrong. I'm willing to talk about the conversation, or talk about the topic, and actually have the conversation that nothing has changed, nothing at all. Now, granted, once upon a time we lived in caves. They were dark, they were damp, they were buried in the ground. We left the cave, we walked long distances, we gathered our food, we clubbed what we could with a stick. Eventually we moved to spears. Just basically, it's an innovation on the stick. And we'll continue that thought process as we move along. The reality of it is, if you think about the cave-dwelling Cro-Mag mentality, what is really different? I mean, analyze it. What's the difference between your cave and their cave? Okay, you still live in a cave. Just because you have a door. Just because your cave isn't in the ground anymore. Just because your cave now has windows, just because your cave has central heating and air, isn't it still a cave? You just move your cave. That's all you've done. You've taken your cave out of one aspect and put it somewhere else. Once upon a day, in your cave mentality, you used to build a fire inside the cave. That was your central heat and air. Of course, you had problems with smoke inhalation. It gave you health issues, things of that nature. So they moved the fire outside. Eventually it came to the point where they invented a stove, but the stove's job itself is nothing more than an innovation of the campfire or the cave fire. We're no longer hunters and gatherers. Well, that's because somebody innovated hunting and gathering. Why should I go walk and look when I can go pick it up, bring it home, plant it, and then I don't have to walk as far? And I can harvest a larger portion because I don't spend my days searching for it. The idea of agriculture from farming is just an innovation on hunting and gathering. It's a different way to hunt and gather. As we look through society and we think about all the things that we do because of innovation, we've given ourselves more free time. We have generated for ourselves more space to do other things. Doctors, policemen, firemen, but really, they're still just hunting and gathering. People don't make that rational connection. This is what money means. Money is a way for you to hunt and gather without doing the hunting and gathering. If you really take a long, hard look and you look at currencies and trade, it's barter. It is an innovation on the barter system. It's not new. It's still bartering. I'm trading this object for that object. And how do I barter? Well, I create a job where I do some activity which stores wealth in an object or something desirable by others, and then I therefore barter that for what it is that I want that I couldn't get on my own. You go to work. Why do you go to work? Let's think about it. If going to work to collect an income isn't hunting and gathering. You see, once upon a day, you didn't have cars, you didn't have other modes of transportation. You only had your feet. They innovated feet with shoes, horses, buggies, carts, cars, ships, airplanes. It's still nothing more than movement. It is taking you from one place to another. It is merely a technological innovation on the same thing that Cro-Mags did. If you look around yourself, and truly understand your world or comprehend what is in it, you will see that you're exactly the same. Now we just argue about the size of the tribe. Oh yes, still tribal. The government, the world at be, says a cumulative tribe, one big giant tribe under one roof, is the best way to go. And that they have chosen for you the alphas of the tribe. The people who will set the rules, who will keep you in line, and who will protect what? The goods and resources that are hunted and gathered. Feel free to call in as we discuss this. We'll be right back after these messages.
Charlie McGrath of WideAwakeNews.com here with a question for my friends at Austin Rare Coins and Bullion. What do they know that we don't? Insiders and a who's who list of elite have made it crystal clear that we are headed for catastrophe, putting out warning after warning, urging people to batten down the hatches. Billionaire George Soros has recently been dumping stocks and at the same time acquiring millions in gold. In fact, in a recent interview, he was quoted as saying, "I'm not here to cheer you up. The situation is as serious and difficult as I've experienced in my career." Out of control government deficit spending and a Federal Reserve that's only solution seems to be print more fiat currency will lead to a weaker dollar and massive inflation on necessity items such as energy and food. If you have wealth to protect, please visit my friends at Austin Rare Coins and Bullion. Gabe Elton and the folks at Austin Rare Coins and Bullion have many Wide Awake News customers because they're honest, they're fair, and they won't sell you paper promises or product they do not have. Call Gabe Elton at 800-552-4109. That number again, 800-552-4109, or visit them online at austincoins.com.
Remember this name, Carnivora. That's CARNIVORA.com. What if I told you that this 100% pure and natural product was delivered directly to the White House at President Reagan's personal request at a time when only the president was able to obtain it? Reagan used this amazing product, Carnivora, successfully, a product derived only from nature that has the intelligence to instinctively attack abnormal cells only without harming a single normal cell, and the power to actually wake up critical immune cells from dormancy to attack foreign invaders that don't belong in our bodies. Carnivora is now obtainable by anyone who wants to get healthy and stay that way. Call 1-866-VENUS-FLY and protect yourself with 17 naturally occurring compounds that will unleash powerful immune defense. That's 1-866-VENUS-FLY. Call 1-866-VENUS-FLY and get your Carnivora today. Visit carnivora.com. It's a real pleasure to introduce you to permaculture, a new concept that can allow all of us to survive these times of crisis, economically and with food, water, and energy in a healthy and abundant fashion. How? By establishing the amazing permaculture food forests. With one simple, fun, fascinating step-by-step guide, you can become completely confident about survival with permaculture. Food forests and permaculture are productive, life-saving technologies for any climate in both urban and rural settings. Jeff Lawton is the world's foremost permaculture authority, teacher, designer, and consultant. Jeff has successfully worked in many countries, cultures, and different climates, helping people survive with permaculture. Come and enjoy an exclusive aerial guided video tour with Jeff of his water harvesting swales, dams, and food forests. Go to jefflawton.org to view this fascinating free video on how to survive and prosper with permaculture. That's GEOFFLAWTON.org.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Wide Awake News at WideAwakeNews.com on the Rense Radio Network, the Oracle Broadcasting Network, and the Next News Network. as well as all of those who listen on Shoutcast or wherever else you find yourself today listening to the broadcast. You know, lots of times we talk about laws and things, and we talk about the state of the union and the state of being. But it is it is mostly inopportune to truly have an enlightening and intelligent, deep thought conversation. Today I'm attempting this. As we talk about tribalism, what is tribalism? It's society. If you really look at tribalism and tribal mentality, it is interchangeable with society on just about every level and aspect that you can possibly find. The same as innovation within mankind. Now, granted, you know, the whole idea, people want to talk about the scientific arguments. And we'll get back to the tribal in just a second. Because, you know, people bring these things up. You know, oh, the Hadron Collider. Well, what is the Hadron Collider? The actual machine itself is an invention. But what it does is an innovation. People say, well, how do you figure? Well, it's an innovation on resource usage. That's all it is. It used to be once upon a time, because of our comprehension of resources and the resources that were available to us, we used dirt, sticks, rocks. Eventually we understood the properties of bone. So we upgraded. It was still just the usage of resources as tools around us. It was an innovation. Eventually it led us to metals and metallurgy, agriculture. All of these are innovations of things we already did. We didn't do them the same. That's what innovation means. We innovated and came up with a new way of using resources around us. Now that we understand that not only can we use a bulk resource, you know, we can use a pile of metal, we can use it as a blunt object and so on and so forth, but we also have now figured out through intelligence and innovation that if we heat that metal, we can shape it into other things. More tools. It is just an innovation, okay? Metallurgy is not an invention. The item that is made from metallurgy is an invention. The Hadron Collider, the machine itself, is an invention. Merely our understanding has evolved to the point where the particle size of the resources, we understand that we don't have to use the raw resource, that we can take a raw resource and break it down and now use it in a new fashion. It's called innovation. There is nothing new under the sun. When you look around yourself and you look at things that you do, all of these things are innovation. Your car, your clothing, your stove, your heating and air conditioning, your refrigerator, everything. How far have you really come? How have you mentally changed? Truly, honestly, ask yourself the question. Tribalism. Everybody now is really over the struggle of national tribalism as far as supranational tribalism. One world government versus national governments. What society thinks and does. The alpha elites of the tribe choose for everyone else. The problem is that some smart people, a while back, they had a conversation and they thought about it, which then produced the government of America. They thought about tribalism and what tribalism really meant. And they said, well, tribalism on a national scale, tribalism on a country scale doesn't work. Because the alphas choose poorly. The alphas aren't always correct. There's corruption, deviantness, disgustingness that corrupts the decision process of the alphas. Now, what does that translate into? How does this get to violence and force? Well, originally in the Cro-Mag days, to finalize the thought, our forefathers understood that the smallest tribe possible is the only one that is the absolute most manageable. I didn't say completely works. And the reason why is the smallest tribe possible is between one and family. One works. You make a poor decision, you pay for it. If it kills you, well, your tribe's done. Your decision-making process is over. If you make good decisions, your tribe excels and succeeds. But everyone who has family and children understands that as your tribe grows beyond the number of one, There are more ideas, more personalities, more things to consider. Look at your small personal tribe. We'll call a family a personal tribe. Everybody, no matter how good your personal tribe is, has members of that personal tribe that eventually become excommunicated, or there's hatred and infighting. In other words, you have family members who do really dumb things. They don't think of others. They don't make good decisions. It impacts the entire tribe. Then the entire tribe has to do the dastardly thing of dealing with that person or dealing with the loss of that tribal member. Everyone knows that families are difficult. They don't actually 100% work, but they work better than anything else. Beyond the shadow of a doubt is the reason why family and head of household and the idea of sovereignty came from our forefathers. It was so that you were responsible for only you, and no one else could step into your personal tribe and make decisions for you. Why? Because other people making decisions for your tribe leads to violence, no matter what. This is a rule. It is something you cannot break. Go back and look at the Cro-Mag state of mind. We'll be right back after these messages.
Charlie McGrath of Wide Awake News here. You know, when it comes to freeze-dried, storable food, there's a lot of companies you can choose from. So please, allow me to introduce you to the best. Buy Emergency Foods Legacy Premium is hands down the best in the industry. They're the only company that is 100% certified GMO-free. They're the only company that has 0 MSGs. They have no artificial flavors, and they're the only company that puts an oxygen absorber into every nitrogen-flushed Mylar pouch. And coming in at about $3,900 for a year's supply, they're the best value in the industry at about half the going rate. Guys, Legacy Premium truly stands alone as the best freeze-dried storable food on the market, plain and simple. But don't take my word for it. Call them yourself at 888-543-7345. The number again, 888-543-7345. Or view their comparable charts today at buyemergencyfoods.com.
You're listening to Charlie nationwide and worldwide on the internet on the Rense Radio Network.
Are you prepared for the future? Do you know how to navigate past the upcoming dangers before it's too late and seize budding opportunities before others do? Forecasting worldwide since 1980, Gerald Celente, publisher of the Trends Journal, provides timely and accurate trend forecasts that have earned him the reputation as the most trusted name in trends. The proof is in the hundreds of accurate forecasts Celente has made over the past 30 years. The 1987 stock market crash, the clean food trend, the dot-com bust. The Trends Journal alerts subscribers to early, subtle signs of crucial trends that will shape our future. It allows readers to anticipate change, recognize the implications, and take proactive strategies. Put your money where your mind is with Gerald Celente's brilliant and indispensable Trends Journal. Go to trendsjournal.com or call 845-331-3500. That's 845-331-3500.
Heart-related health problems affect millions of people each year. Maybe you're one of the many who suffer from issues related to angina pain, high blood pressure, congestive heart failure, unbalanced cholesterol, irregular heartbeat, or clogged arteries. There is a solution that doesn't involve expensive prescription drugs that only mask the problem and leave you with horrible side effects. If you are ready to live your life free of sickness, pain, and fear, live your life with increased vitality, energy, and youthfulness, and experience experience your body healing itself, then you're ready for Heart and Body Extract from Healthy Hearts Club. Heart and Body Extract has a 23-year proven track record of using certified organic herbs that make up an excellent formula to balance and support the heart and circulatory system. In as little as 2 weeks, you can feel amazing results when your 2-month supply of Heart and Body Extract today. Call 1-866-295-5305 or go to hbextract.com.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the broadcast. Yes, it is Eric of the Lovely Family on the one and only Wide Awake News on our various broadcast platforms. And, you know, as we were getting close to, I was attempting to draw us into the talk of the violent aspect. And however, we will get back to that in a moment. But first, we have a caller named Dwayne from Colorado, who has heard me speaking and has obviously wished to comment. Welcome to the forum.
Thank you for having me on. I've listened to you guys for quite a while. And, yeah, you're right on. About the family. That's why the Commie Admiralty Court pounds wedges between man and wife in order to destroy the family.
Oh yeah, I think that the ultimate, one of the ultimate trickeries or attempt through propaganda, laws, and deception is to eliminate the family, to make certain portions of the family believe that it shouldn't belong, that there is a greater purpose, that they're evolved past the point of needing a family.
Yeah, it's the as far as the violence part goes, you know, those who think they have evolved beyond violence, which really means that they're not willing to protect themselves, is what that really means. And the term pussy is too masculine for them. You know, it's disgusting. But we're not going to have to worry about it, because when the bottom drops out, they're just going to bend over, and that'll be the end of them.
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, and we will ask people to we'll change it to wussy. But yeah, I do agree with you. I definitely think it is, because, you know, as we play into the violence issue, you know, if you look at the Cro-Mag state of mind, the where I think we still are today, we haven't evolved or gone anywhere. We've just changed the toys that we use. If you look at it, the alpha males did what? You know, you hunted, you gathered, you brought everything home, and you shared it with the tribe. And the alphas and the alpha females, well, the alpha males got first choice of the food. They get first choice of the best women. They get first choice of
That's how it is.
Everything. And tell me how society is different now. Yeah. So when you look at it now, eventually what would happen is the tribe would evolve along. The alphas would get gluttonous. Okay. They would become self-fulfilling. They would become overbearing. And someone would come along and say, I'm not taking this anymore. And there would be a challenge. And they would beat each other to death. And whoever came out the victor was now the new alpha dog or the alpha set within the tribe. The mentality of today... There's nothing different. Today is the same.
Exactly, nothing.
We're approaching one of those moments now. And see, this is the problem. The betas, okay? You have all of the betas who are in the middle, who are saying, oh, violence isn't the answer and this, that, and other. It's because they don't possess the ability to defend themselves. They rely upon the alphas to defend them.
They're going to, when the feces hit the fan, they're going to count on people like you and me and Charlie and everybody else that'll stand up and fight to protect their little fanny and everything they have.
What's funny is up until that point, though, they will argue the fact against you. They will argue that you're somehow barbaric, you live in an ancient time, you know not what you speak. And then when the chips are down and they realize that they don't have the intestinal fortitude to challenge the other alphas for their own independence, that they need you. And then they come running. You know, people should
boy.
Yeah, they should definitely
save me. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Dwayne, is there anything else you'd like to cover today?
I mean, it's going to come down to violence. It always does. It always comes down to a force of arms, you know. And how many more feces are we going to swallow before we choke on one and spit it out and pick up our arms and take our country back. We only need 10% of us. They're only 2-3%?
Oh no, they're less than 1/3%, really.
Well,
and
I'm thinking
we don't
the
need a full
military
10.
and the cops and all of it.
Oh
Isn't
yeah, they're
that
outnumbered.
small?
If you had every police officer, every military man, and all of the branches of the service, including the puddle jumpers in the Coast Guard, and every single person who carries a badge of any kind, they're outnumbered 300 to 1.
Hey, that's just about like thermal pain, huh? A thermopylae.
Yeah.
Yeah. Except I don't think they have the guts to say Malone Bay.
Yeah, I don't think they do either. This is the reason why they take the fascist Fabian mentality, is because they know they can't win. So they they strike a pose of fear. They instill fear within the public so that the public will police itself.
And you know, and I know that every time one of them puffs up and starts talking about how bad he is, you punch him in the nose and he runs off.
Generally, except for the sadistic psychopaths, there is that percentage of the population who will think it's a good time now. I'm bleeding. Let's have some fun. But we can deal with those. I definitely want to thank you and appreciate your phone call.
Well, I agree with you on how to deal with those. 2 in the face. I like that.
Well, thank you for the call. And, ladies and gentlemen, I hope that everyone understands, and I hope that everyone really looks at this topic, even as we laugh and we have a little bit of a chuckle. Look in the mirror and really think about this conversation. Think about your world around you and what really is different. Disregard the shiny glitterness of your toys. Disregard the items of innovation, these technological gadgets, and really take a hard, long look at your tribe. Once upon a time, our forefathers said that the smallest tribe was the family. It was the only tribe that worked the best. Okay, it was the tribe that produced good alphas. It was the tribe that produced great egalitarians. Okay, they realized and understood that the large social groupthink tribes never work. They can't work. There's too much degenerate factor within it. It spawns degenerate factor within it. I mean, let's have a real mental conversation without anyone getting angry. Really think about what it is that you have going on. Okay, all throughout time, you've had gatekeepers of information. You have 3 groups of people within these tribal sets. And the 3 groups of people are really only 2, but one group is split into 2 sides. The largest portion of the entire tribe are betas. They're followers. They go along to get along. They follow the alphas. They hope that the alpha is a good person. But really, generally, they're betas. Then you have alphas. And the alphas are split into 2 factions. Alphas that want to be independent and free and want nothing from the person next to them. They just want to be left alone. They want to be left alone to their own druthers, their own ideas, their own innovations. Then you have the other alphas, who are the gatekeepers. They want to control everything. They want to control the flow of resources. They want everyone to bow down to them because they are alphas. And any alpha who doesn't agree is eliminated. Now look at your society and tell me how it's any different. The kid who doesn't go to school, the kid who doesn't want to listen in class, the daydreamer, the critical thinker, the person with big ideas and big hopes going big places. They beat them down. They attempt to destroy all of that which is within them and tell them that the only way to become anything is to schlep along within the system of the tribe itself. That does nothing but empower the alphas who are already in charge. And they're disgusting, degenerate alphas at that. So what happens? In the original days, they would simply walk around with their alpha Cro-Mag underlings with big sticks, and they would control the watering hole. They would control the flow of food. They would control the flow of herbs, which was medicine back in the day. These are the things that they would do. Look at your society today. It is exactly the same. There is no difference. Yes, there's technological advancement, and now you go do a job like work in a hospital, or you don't have to be a farmer, you don't have to be a rancher. You can go work in one of these other points, but what are you simply doing? You're working to get money, to get resources. Same thing as hunting and gathering. You just now have free time through innovation to seek out other jobs or other hunting and gathering skills in the end, to still do the same thing. To acquire food, to acquire shelter, to acquire medicine. There is no difference. We're going to continue this conversation in the last segment when we come back right after these messages.
Hey guys, Charlie McGrath here at WideAwakeNews.com, and I'm here to tell you I believe that Chris and the folks over at SeedsNow.com offer the best product at the best prices with the best service of anybody in the market. But don't take my word for it. Listen to what some of their customers have to say. Joshua in Florida writes, exceeded my expectations. Shipping was prompt and a number of my plants are already starting to sprout. Thanks for being great. And Ryan in California writes, I just received my homestead seed bank, my all-in-one prepper pack, and seed-to-seed storage and growing guidebook, and I could not be more pleased. Thanks, Seeds Now. Now I can start growing and get off the GMOs. Keep up the great work. And the list goes on and on. Guys, it's time to make SeedsNow.com an integral part of your long-term preparedness strategy. Please call them at 877-344-4669. That number again, 877-344-4669. Or better yet, visit them today at SeedsNow.com.
If you're taking 1, 2, 5, or more nutritional supplements every day, please stop. Simplify your supplementation with Bio Superfood, the most advanced nutritional whole food supplement you can buy. Men, women, children, and even Olympic athletes the world over have discovered Bio Superfood from BioAge.com and now take just one nutritional supplement instead of many. The Bio Superfood formulas are whole food products composed with 4 of the most nutrient-dense algae species found on Earth. Bio Superfood for the brain helps with focus, memory, clarity, and mood. Bio Superfood is a strong defender in the fight against radiation exposure. Bio Superfood has zero toxicity, is safe, and has no contraindications whatsoever. Learn more and order your Bio Superfood formulas at BioAge.com. That's spelled BIOAGE.com. BioAge.com. Or you can call 877-288-9116. That's 877-288-9116. BioAge, the age of advanced organics.
Are you or someone that you love struggling to reclaim your health? My name is Matthew David Hurtado, CEO of RNAdrops.com. In 2008, I struggled with chronic fatigue syndrome, PTSD, and Lyme's. I thought that all hope was gone as I lost everything in the process. In 2009, a miracle happened. I discovered Ion and RNA drops. 2 months after taking RNA drops, the chronic fatigue and the PTSD had vanished into thin air. I'd like to invite you to discover RNA drops by visiting www.rnafreemini.com today. That's rnafreemini.com today. Listen to hours of testimonials and get a free trial bottle. Pay only shipping and handling by visiting www.rnafreemini.com.
Or give us a call at 1-888-550-8231. That's 888-550-8231. Hurry, supplies are limited.
Make a promise, take a vow, trust your feelings, it's easy now. Understand the voice within and feel a change already beginning.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the one and only Wide Awake News on the one and only WideAwakeNews.com, Rinse Radio Network, Oracle Broadcasting, and the next news network. I hope that someone made recordings of today's show, and I hope that they play it back and think about it themselves. I hope that they really have a conversation with the people around them. Because just in the ancient days of the Cro-Mag, the watering hole is being policed by those who wish to control it, by those who wish to control the resources. They poison you because they think there's too many of you. Oh yeah, you clamor and you yammer and you shout and you complain. But what does that solve? Nothing. What of all of your conversations, your meetings, your candidates? All these things that you busy little bees do. What does it solve? Nothing. It just creates a station of diffusal. it makes you feel like you're doing something without actually doing anything, hoping that it will fix itself. That's really what it boils down to. You see, nobody wants to think logically about the topics that I bring up. Nobody wants to think logically about these things. At some point, someone's going to have to pick up a stick and beat them in the head until they free the resources, until they free us to do as we choose. This is the reality. Because there's nothing new under the sun. They're going to continue to maintain a death grip until you beat them in the head. Now, I know that people won't like that. People think that, no one is promoting violence in that aspect. It's simply understanding the comprehension that it is the ultimate destination of this action. You're not going to get anywhere otherwise. It is really disheartening to think that that is what the world is, but like I said, nothing has changed. You haven't evolved. You haven't gone anywhere. You're still the same as you've always been, as your forefathers and those before you. They've done everything that they can to stamp out the new idea. The idea of individual sovereignty. You see people have their laws and all these things. And my question is, well, what gives you the right? What gives you the right to control the highways? What gives you the right to say yay or nay about anything when it pertains to someone other than you? When it pertains to someone else's money or property? I don't care how feel good it makes you. Social Security, unemployment benefits. I don't care how good it makes you feel. Welfare. I don't care what your emotional tide is. What gives you the right to dictate it to someone else? By all means. If you want to spend all of your waking wealth and do all the things that you want to do in favor of handouts for other people, then go ahead. Kill yourself doing it. Work yourself to the bone. Call me whatever name you want. Call the people who think like me whatever name you so choose. But you have no right to force your emotional opinion on me. This is really where this conversation boils down to. And the betas stand around, they're lemmings. They got thumbs up their butt. They're easily manipulated. They don't want to rock the boat. They don't want to have to defend themselves. They don't want to have to believe in something. They don't want to have to live up to their morals and principles. You see, everybody has morals and principles till it becomes a life or death struggle. Then morals and principles become few and far between for most people. This is why Jefferson said, the only rights any man truly has are the ones he's willing to die for. There is no statement more truer than that. Not just because we're directly related family members, not just because I'm a Jeffersonian, because it's just logically sound. You have the right to free speech? Yeah, right up until someone points a gun at you and says, shut up. Now you have one of two choices. You can shut up or you can fight. That's the real testament of whether or not you have a freedom. You see them now. You're being pushed around, free speech zones, taxes. I mean, let's have an honest look. It's all about the alphas, or the self-prescribed alphas, controlling resources, keeping you from those resources, poisoning and starving your family. Why? Because they want the resources for themselves. Why do you think many kings used to sit around and plan wars together against each other? Because their populations were too large, becoming way over manageable. So they would send them out into war and kill tens of thousands of them off. And they would trade land back and forth as if you gained something. I mean, this is really the reality. And I hope people can have a logical conversation about it. Of course, the FBI and everybody else, they're going to freak out. They're going to say I'm a crazy nutbag, that I promote hatred and violence. I don't promote hatred. I don't promote violence either. I just know it's the logical outcome. You better be prepared for it. And those of you who are not are going to suffer, whether you like it or not. The pacifists and the tree huggers, guess what? Your fate will be determined by someone else. Period. Will you be man enough to tell that to your children? To the members of your personal tribe? Will you be woman enough to look them in the face and say, I'm sorry, I'm a spineless Shapil. Our fate is up to the destiny of those people. Because that's the reality. No one wants to have that conversation. They're all waiting for Superman to swoop in and change the facts. Why are they waiting for Superman? 2 reasons. 1, they know violence is inevitably the outcome. And 2, they don't have the ability to do the job. Their morals and principles are only, as they say, beauty. In other words, only skin deep. When they cut you right to the quick, they'll buckle. I've seen it far too many times. People will do anything. I've seen people instantly turn gay to try and save their own life. They don't stand on their own 2 feet. They don't have real principles and morals. Granted, I understand that the school is programming people to have situational ethics, to have pliable principles, that they only apply in certain situations. And if X, Y, and Z fall into line and you see a way to profit, that it's okay to give up those principles. We're going to learn real quick in the next few years, I think. You're going to learn real quick the Cro-Magnon society you live in. I hope that people truly take the time to put effort into this thought process. If you become offended and you're just all upset and you got such a bent noodle about the conversation and you're so offended because you think that I'm talking about you, well, guess what? I am talking about you, and you're a beta. I can't help that. You can choose. I do believe, unlike some people, I believe that within everyone is the ability to be an alpha. It is there. That everyone has the true potential to be their own alpha, to lead their own tribe. Our forefathers thought the same thing. And for 75 years of thinking like the forefathers did, we've become the richest, most educated, most powerful nation on earth. We've disregarded their principles. We've disregarded those ideas. And where are you now? You're sucking up the back of the pack. From life expectancy to education, moral standards. You're not first in anything. Oh, wait, no, you're first in imprisoning your fellow man. Hats off to you. Take a bow. You've imposed your will and allowed other people to impose their will across the board on people. And now they sit and rot in jails. You police yourself. You follow these arbitrary, mindless rules that come from nowhere. Like anyone has the right to take away any type of warfare materials from you. If that's what you want, then go ahead and have it. If you utilize them in an unsafe, immoral manner, then someone should do justice upon you. See, this is the reality. We have attempted to think that natural selection, which does exist, that the ideas of the natural order of the world, that we have somehow broken free, we've overcome it, we've changed. You should go back and read the story of Atlantis. You should go back and read the story of Babel. As I've said throughout the entire show, there is nothing new under the sun. Nothing new at all. Same ideas, stuck in the same places. I will say that there is a glimmer of hope. Because the numbers are on our side. Technically, on paper, you should be winning. But you're not. Because you're policing yourself. You're allowing these people to dominate you. And instead of attempting to defend yourself, you want to have a conversation. Do the cops come to your house and have a conversation? If they say it's time for you to go to jail, what happens? Go ahead and say no. They're going to point a gun at you. They're going to zap you with a taser. They're going to burn your house down. They'll drive a tank through your living room. I mean, are we really so mentally corrupt and mentally inept that we can't see this right in front of our face? Can we not see that it is time to change this? That it's time to become more independent? Can we not see that democracy and all of these tribal mentalities that they attempt to push on you and your colleges and your places of idiot gatherings, they don't work. If they worked, you would live in a utopia. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, keep thinking.
Another kid my age drugged under a Jeep, taken and bound and found later under a tree. I wonder if he thought the next one could be me. Do you see the soldiers that are out today to brush the dust with bulletproof vests away? It's ironic, at times like this you pray, but a bomb blew the mosque up yesterday. There's bombs on the buses, bikes, roads, inside your market, your shops, your clothes. My dad, he's got a lot of fear, I know, but enough pride inside, nothing let that show. My brother had a book he would hold with pride, a little red cover with a broken spine on the back. He hand-wrote a quote inside: when the rich wage war, it's the poor who die. Meanwhile, their leader just talks away, stuttering and mumbling the nightly news to play. The rest of the world watching at the end of the day, both scared and angry, like what did he say?
Will 2012 bring the Mayan end of world or the global banking collapse? In 2007, one man, Mike Dillard, made 5 predictions which forecasted the 2008 economic crisis and the pending Eurozone collapse. This week, Mike unleashes 3 brand new, shocking, must-watch videos with predictions for the coming year. www.the3videos.com. Over the past year, Mike Dillard has helped thousands of ordinary people create and recover wealth by tapping into the black box investing strategies the big banks don't want you to know about. www.the3videos.com. As the European banking system implodes and governments collapse at breakneck speeds, the next 12 months will be the most anticipated and important months in modern human history. This will make 2008 look like a walk in the park. Everyone will be affected. Go to www.the3videos.com now. Learn how to prepare your family and prosper during the global financial collapse.
Liberty Coin and Precious Metals is one of the fastest growing gold sellers in the country. And as one of their customers, I know why. They simplify the process of buying coins and precious metals. No hidden fees, no hard sell, no mystery. Just great prices. In fact, some of the best in the nation. And they post their buy and sell prices on the web and in their stores. I value that transparency. And Liberty's experts took the time to get to know me and my investment needs. And they're serious about privacy. There are so many reasons I'm now a Liberty Coin and Precious Metals customer. But the most important is I trust Liberty. Call Liberty Coin and Precious Metals. 877-511-COIN. That's 877-511-COIN. Or on the web at libertycpm.com.
Liberty.
You're listening to the Rents Radio Network, nationwide and worldwide on the net and at rents.com.
Some nights I wish that my lips could build a castle. Some nights I wish they'd just fall off. But I still wake up, I still see your ghost. Oh Lord, I'm still not sure what I stand for. What do I stand for? What do I stand for? Most nights I don't know anymore.
right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the broadcast. This is Eric of the Lovely Family on the one and only Wide Awake News. We're also, of course, we want to welcome everybody who's listening to us through the Next News Network, the one and only Rents Radio Network, and Oracle Broadcasting. I also want to thank everybody who's listening in any other fashion or paying attention in any other fashion. Even if you go over to the handy-dandy little website over there at rentsradioarchives.com and download the archives to listen to them at your leisure. Now, those options are available to you. However, some of the extras, like, when JTV is running and some of the commercial break conversations and so forth, are not included in those. So you just have to be aware of that information. Now, there's a lot of things that are going on, and people really wanted me to, or have been tugging at me to, talk about what I call, at the moment, microbursting. Macro, if you understand the terminologies of macro and micro, micro, the smaller, finite, individual scale when looking at an individual tree, or as opposed to looking at the entire forest. Okay? So these little micro bursts that are happening around the market. Okay, there are some big losses being scored. There are some big gains being scored. It is almost, how do I describe it, as a digitized war. Okay, imagine smart bombs going off and the collection of profit is, basically like the casualty count of your little warfare or your little war engagement. So what you have here is what's happening is like mini crashes. And, I was wondering, Charlie didn't know if he was going to join me today or not. I'm not sure what he got caught up into. But maybe he'll talk a little bit about this as well, or maybe he already has. But these micro crashes, they're like small explosions all over the market. And some are for the sides of bankers. Some are on the side of sound currency. Some are on the side of all different groups put together. Some are either for or against the petrodollar. There are just many of them. And what it is you could also look at it as, you ever seen in the movies a boat or a plane, or they're traveling along a train or some type of object they're traveling in. And it starts to creak as it cracks and gets ready to come apart. Okay. You can imagine these mini crashes as the cracks. Maybe that's an easier way to understand it. The cracking and the creaking that's going around you in your pressure plating, we'll say, for those science geeks out there, the pressure plating of your economy is cracking. It's coming apart. Now, as the numbers will go up and down and side to side, you'll see the stock market explode high, 100 points off of a crash. People don't understand that. But what's happening is people there are buy-ins, there's everything you possibly can think of. Any from lean puts to people calling. You have everything going on within these smaller microcosm deals as they explode and contract, and as profit is sucked into another sector. Okay, you may see a gain in the beginning as the fast moving or the velocity of money quickly changes in one direction and is accumulated. It appears to be a benefit. In other words, the money is accelerating. Okay, and the markets really are one of the big determining factors is velocity. And if you don't know what those terms mean, I suggest that you take some time and you really look them up and you really understand what they mean as we start to have more discussions like this. Now, so basically the money is basically just sloshing back and forth, and velocity is increasing not through the market, but only within the market. Okay, velocity is also calculated by extracting and input, the amount of money flowing into the market, the amount of money flowing out of the market, and the amount of money flowing within the market. So you have almost no velocity into the market. The only velocity taking place is by the federal government. Okay, this is something that people needs to understand. For velocity to be generated, there must be capital flow into the market. Okay, it's kind of like making a wave with your hand. You can sit there and wish it's going to happen, but until you actually stick your hand in the water and start to move it forward to create the wave, the fictional wave, okay, it isn't going to take place. So somebody actually has to stick their hand into the market and swoosh forward to see what happens. And that is inflow of capital, inflow of investments and whatnot. But the only people doing that are the billions and billions and billions of dollars that the government is pumping in. So it's creating artificial velocity, which sends massive, massive problems into the market. People with money, with good money, people who are attempting to make a savings and so on and so forth. Well, they're getting misreads all over the place. Misreads isn't a true technical terminology, but you can understand. In other words, they're misreading the inputs or the telltale signs or whatever it is, blurb word that you use to explain markets for yourself. But you're looking at the actual intimate data that's coming out of the market to make decisions. Now, if you have that the data is given to you fictionally and it isn't true, it doesn't work, okay, it's not the real data. In other words, a picture of somebody's pouring water into the bucket going, oh yeah, there's a continual water supply, yeah, and you don't see the hand. I mean, in this situation you do. So you have to understand that the entire market is now creaking under the pressure. And what is happening is you're still seeing the explosions. And what most people don't understand is that it's all one market. Because of globalization, Agenda 21, global market dynamics that they have attempted to create, which never should have taken place, as we all know, you're seeing the explosions at the extreme weakest points of the mass. Now, everything comes from the United States and Western central banks outward. Imagine a sphere. And the ones that sit on the very surface of the sphere are where the cracks look like actual explosions. Okay, they're the ones like Cyprus, what you see with what's going on in Cyprus, what you see with what's going on in Greece continually. And all of these smaller countries that are talking about where are we going to take these bailouts, are we not going to take these bailouts? Well, you see, the chain breaks at the weakest link. And this is what you're really dealing with. The weakest links are the ones that are showing the most damage and the most rapid change now. Because you are in America, most of you are listening. I do realize I have many people across the globe that pay attention. But what are you realizing now is the only reason why the quivers and the creeks are so slow to generate and slow to occur within the states is because we are actually one big sphere. The central banks work within each other. They have a tiered down society. In other words, different banks come in different tiers. And the banks that are on the outer upmost edges of the entire conglomeration are the ones that are going to take the hit first. Okay, and I really want people to understand that. You are seeing shocks to your market. They're just not right in your face as far as down in Kentucky or over in Ohio, somewhere where you could actually drive to and witness the devastation caused by these. So this is the reason why people believe that there is a separation. But these countries continue to fail. Okay, because the data continues to change. The central core is producing more and more dollars. Every nation on earth requires oil for their present technological state of being. Doesn't matter whether you consider them third world or first world. Their governments, their militaries, these things burn oil, they burn gasoline, they utilize the technology of today. And because they're tied into that petrodollar, they must maintain some type of reserve of dollars, okay, to trade into the petrodollar. And you need to understand the petrodollar and how it works, because that's what unifies what you or most people appear to think is separate when they talk about, the Asian nations and so forth. Well, we'll be right back after these messages.
Charlie McGrath of WideAwakeNews.com here with a question from my friends at Austin Rare Coins and Bullion. What do they know that we don't? Insiders and a who's who list of elite have made it crystal clear that we are headed for catastrophe, putting out warning after warning, urging people to batten down the hatches. Billionaire George Soros has recently been dumping stocks and at the same time acquiring millions in gold. In fact, in a recent interview, he was quoted as saying, "I'm not here to cheer you up. The situation is as serious and difficult as I've experienced in my career." Out of control government deficit spending and a Federal Reserve that's only solution seems to be print more fiat currency will lead to a weaker dollar and massive inflation on necessity items such as energy and food. If you have wealth to protect, please visit my friends at Austin Rare Coins and Bullion. Gabe Elton and the folks at Austin Rare Coins and Bullion have many Wide Awake News customers because they're honest, they're fair, and they won't sell you paper promises or product they do not have. Call Gabe Elton at 800-552-4109. That number again, 800-552-4109, or visit him online at austincoins.com.
Remember this name, Carnivora. That's CARNIVORA.com. What if I told you that this 100% pure and natural product was delivered directly to the White House at President Reagan's personal request at a time when only the president was able to obtain it? Reagan used this amazing product, Carnivora, successfully, a product derived only from nature that has the intelligence to instinctively attack abnormal cells only without harming a single normal cell, and the power to actually wake up critical immune cells from dormancy to attack foreign invaders that don't belong in our bodies. Carnivora is now obtainable by anyone who wants to get healthy and stay that way. Call 1-866-VENUS-FLY and protect yourself with 17 naturally occurring compounds that will unleash powerful immune defense. That's 1-866-VENUS-FLY. Call 1-866-VENUS-FLY and get your Carnivora today. Visit carnivora.com. It's a real pleasure to introduce you to permaculture, a new concept that can allow all of us to survive these times of crisis, economically and with food, water, and energy in a healthy and abundant fashion. How? By establishing the amazing permaculture food forests. With one simple, fun, fascinating step-by-step guide, you can become completely confident about survival with permaculture. Food forests and permaculture are productive, life-saving technologies for any climate in both urban and rural settings. Jeff Lawton is the world's foremost permaculture authority, teacher, designer, and consultant. Jeff has successfully worked in many countries, cultures, and different climates, helping people survive with permaculture. Come and enjoy an exclusive aerial guided video tour with Jeff of his water harvesting swales, dams, and food forests. Go to jefflawton.org to view this fascinating free video on how to survive and prosper with permaculture. That's GEOFFLAWTON.org.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the broadcast. I want to welcome everybody from all the different, assets or venues that they are using or viewing or listening to us through. Rinse Radio Network, Oracle Broadcasting, and of course Shoutcast, as somebody reminds me. People can just plug in and listen over Shoutcast, those in the chat room, those at the Next News Network, those everywhere and anywhere who are tuning into the broadcast, welcome to the show. As we were talking about these little, what I call them, microbursts within the economy. Now you can see them, and there's a lot to talk about here, okay, because the government has attempted over a long period of time with the Federal Reserve banking system. Now, they have realized these events taking place. However, they haven't taken place extremely close together. You see, that was the problem. And how basically when they would happen in 2006 and 2007, if you go back and you look at these microbursts and explain to you what they are, everybody knows what a second is. You can take the time to go 1/1000. That's approximately, to get the words out, 1/1000 takes approximately a second. That's why they tell you to go 1/1000, 2/1000, 3/1000, and so forth. It is approximately 1 second long. Now, the difficulty is these things, when they happen, they generally happen in a rapid succession. We're talking under 10 to 5 seconds, okay? And there'll be blurbs about them, and you won't hear about them steadily in the news. You'll hear little clips or little blips of, oh, what the heck happened there? And, oh, what the heck happened there, where they dropped here and moved on. Now, before they were happening, these events were happening to different firms and different spread out venues, different problems. You know, they were just didn't happen in rapid succession. And they didn't happen like, 30 of them in a week, which is kind of the spectrum you're moving into now when people want to look at these. So if you want to identify them, imagine them as violent swings in a stock, up or down, of a percentage greater than, I would say, greater than 1%. Now, when I say rapid, I mean rapid. In other words, in less than 10 seconds, most of the time less than 5 seconds, the stock will change by a percentage point or more in a blink of an eye. Now, it doesn't matter which way it changes. These are microbursts. These are the microbursts that are positive, where you see a microburst where a stock is juiced up 5, 6, 7, 8, 10% in less than 5 seconds, and most of the time swings back down. Okay, those are correlating with a juice a different direction. In other words, we could get into talking about it as juice, but if they're juiced downward. In other words, as one company is juiced downward, X a percentage in one of these micro bursts, another company or another entity will spike in the other direction. It's that whole equal and opposite force. Any force is equal. Go back to school if you can't really get that. So in other words, if you see a blip one way in a positive on one section of the market in a positive direction like that, do some research and you will probably find that there is a correlating blip in a negative direction in some other portion of the actual network or the buying options or whatever took place that made that positive gain. You will find a company or a group that took a blip in the negative direction at the same time they took a blip in the positive direction. Now, that's not always the case because they may be independent. It could be real-world events that cause the blips to happen. It could be countries do certain things. It could be investors pull money out. There is any number of ways for these things to take place. So maybe you won't always see you will see a correlation somewhere. If it's an investor, the investor is either pulling out or he's pushing in. Okay? Somewhere you will see a correlative drive to the event that's taking place. Now, here's how the government, for quite some time now, and the Federal Reserve introduced something called a circuit breaker. Now, what is a circuit breaker? In other words, if these events don't take place, then there's no need for a circuit breaker, and the creation of one would be useless. So therefore, by saying that there is a event, you could research stock market circuit breaker, and you will understand that what happens is they set a toll of 10%. If a stock or entity or commodity or something of that nature swings 10% in any direction in a rapid succession, it will freeze. In other words, like a circuit breaker. It's either, it pops the breaker. They will freeze trading of that product for X amount of time, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, sometimes 20 seconds, to see if they could stymie an implosion. Because from one of these micro events, it's going to reach a critical mass, and you're going to see a meltdown of the entire banking situation that comes from it. Okay? So in their attempt to stay ahead of such a thing, they have a thing called a circuit breaker. And basically it freezes the trade of that entity on the market. Now, here's the real problem. Most people don't understand that these circuit breakers are functioned with what they call time dilation or lag. You have lagging, I'm sure people have heard the phrase lagging indicators. Oh, well, the indicators are lagging behind. In other words, that's what it is. They're a little bit behind what's actually going on, but this is the best we have. Well, these people really don't understand that at this moment, the lag is almost nil. And you see these things happening in rapid succession and starting to happen closer and closer together. We'll be right back after these messages.
Charlie McGrath of Wide Awake News here. You know, when it comes to freeze-dried, storable food, there's a lot of companies you can choose from. So please, allow me to introduce you to the best. Buy Emergency Foods Legacy Premium is hands down the best in the industry. They're the only company that is 100% certified GMO-free. They're the only company that has 0 MSGs. They have no artificial flavors, and they're the only company that puts an oxygen absorber into every nitrogen-flushed Mylar pouch. And coming in at about $3,900 for a year's supply, they're the best value in the industry at about half the going rate. Guys, Legacy Premium truly stands alone as the best freeze-dried storable food on the market, plain and simple. But don't take my word for it. Call them yourself at 888-543-7345. The number again, 888-543-7345. Or view their comparable charts today at buyemergencyfoods.com.
You're listening to Charlie nationwide and worldwide on the internet on the Rinse Radio Network.
Are you prepared for the future? Do you know how to navigate past the upcoming dangers before it's too late and seize budding opportunities before others do? Forecasting worldwide since 1980, Gerald Celente, publisher of the Trends Journal, provides timely and accurate trend forecasts that have earned him the reputation as the most trusted name in trends. The proof is in the hundreds of accurate forecasts Celente has made over the past 30 years. The 1987 stock market crash, the clean food trend, the dot-com bust. The Trends Journal alerts subscribers to early, subtle signs of crucial trends that will shape our future. It allows readers to anticipate change, recognize the implications, and take proactive strategies. Put your money where your mind is with Gerald Celente's brilliant and indispensable Trends Journal. Go to trendsjournal.com or call 845-331-3500. That's 845-331-3500.
Heart-related health problems affect millions of people each year. Maybe you're one of the many who suffer from issues related to angina pain, high blood pressure, congestive heart failure, unbalanced cholesterol, irregular heartbeat, or clogged arteries. There is a solution that doesn't involve expensive prescription drugs that only mask the problem and leave you with horrible side effects. If you are ready to live your life free of sickness, pain, and fear, live your life with increased vitality, energy, and youthfulness, and experience your body healing itself, then you're ready for Heart and Body Extract from Healthy Hearts Club. Heart and Body Extract has a 23-year proven track record of using certified organic herbs that make up an excellent formula to balance and support the heart and circulatory system. In as little as 2 weeks, you can feel amazing results when your 2-month supply of Heart and Body Extract today. Call 1-866-295-5305 or go to hbextract.com.
All right, welcome back to the broadcast, ladies and gentlemen, and all those out there in the listening world, wherever you are and however you are listening, we welcome you. To those of you in the chat room, we say hello. And, of course, if you guys want to know the 877 number to call in and communicate and talk about information, things that are going on, the number is displayed on the WideAwakeNews.com webpage, and in the chat room at the bottom, you will see it in big, giant numbers, and you can call in and feel free if you'd like to. Now, when we start talking about these microbursts, and we're talking about, you know, circuit breakers, and you're talking about these events. Let me tell you that the reason why people should pay attention to these, and let me give you a couple examples first. Most people don't realize that, like on February 5th, okay, they were happening months and months apart. Now they're taking place days apart. Okay, on February 5th, you had the Hanes brand. I'm sure that you guys have seen the commercials, but the Hanes brand stock itself, it fell 2%. Okay, and no, it fell 3% in half a second. So in other words, the three total percentage of its value disappeared in half of a second. It then returned, okay, it popped back in almost a full second after that. So this is called a microburst, in my definition. And then again on the 14th, you had, well, you know, it really goes all the way back, but you have three different events. Apple fell 2%, okay, on January 25th, and then February 5th, after that came up, you had the Hanes brand that made its move, and then once again, you had U.S. Silica Holdings. Now they almost triggered a circuit breaker, because they actually, in 2 seconds, they dropped 9%. Okay, in less than 2 seconds. About somewhere between a second and a half and 2 seconds. Now, I don't know if it was quite a second and 3/4 or not, but you're talking about a really relatively brief period of time where you physically lose 10% of your company. Now, this should be alarming, because these events, they're not, they happen from time to time. But they don't happen in rapid succession and growing closer and closer together. That means that the turmoil and the stress created upon the market and created from within the market is starting to be more than it can bear. And basically, you know, it's that guy you see wandering through the field. Yeah, he's bleeding. He's starting to bleed out in several places, and he keeps looking and going, "Oh, no, I'm fine. I'm good. Oh, no, I'm good. Let's keep going." That's basically what you're looking at. You're looking at a market that is now starting to bleed. You're looking at a financial system that is really starting to show under the pain and the stress of the situation. Now, what has Ben Bernanke and the rest of the Mod Squad doing? Absolutely nothing. Okay, they're not going to do anything because, one, they really can't do anything. I mean, granted, they are going to print money and they're going to inject it into the system. But they're going to maintain that until it runs so hot that it explodes. This is the reality. Okay, there are no signs of sanity. Okay, the bartender just keeps filling that glass. Every time it's emptied, he just keeps filling it, and he's not caring. He's not caring how much the alcohol costs. He's not caring what's happening to his customer. He just dumping the alcohol, going, "Yep, everything's great. Just keep drinking." I mean, this is really where you're looking at. This is what you're looking at. So if you want to start, I said before, we talked about certain indicators. These are now other indicators that I've found. I've used them all along, but the correlating information as far as the time period between events was not substantially small enough to really start talking about. And, I didn't want people studying 58 million different indicators as they roll along. So we're going to talk about important ones as they come up. There are other ones in the future. Now, can this subside? Well, it really depends on the miracle of modern financial magic. Okay, it will only subside for a while. And each time that they push off these events, they come back even stronger. Okay, so people need to realize that any one of these minor explosive events could create a domino effect. Okay, and it depending on if the circuit breaker goes into effect, depending on if the circuit breaker actually stops whatever the catalyst for the ignition, whatever the ignition is for the fire that broke out. It really depends. And so the problem with Cyprus and other issues that have went on within the market. Now, people have to really understand that those losses have been shifted around, and that these countries, when I say that they're the weakest link, okay, Imagine that you're playing a game of musical chairs. Okay? The weak link is the slow, dim-witted, and I'm not making fun of people in Cyprus or these people where these things are happening, but imagine someone who's much slower, much less coordinated than everyone else. In other words, they're the weak link. They're the ones that's probably going to miss out on sitting down in a chair first. Okay? The weakest link of this whole entire thing. So you have to understand that these smaller links, these guys that play with too much fire, sometimes they're a bigger link, but they're still a weak link because they thought they were in a better position to play the free money. They thought they were in a better position. I mean, that's where Greece was. Greece thought that they had enough time and enough energy and enough, political punch and whatnot that they could play games and get into the European Union by lying and get in by deception and coercion. And they couldn't, okay? They didn't have the tourism, they didn't have the resources, they didn't have the economic clout to pull off the bluff that they attempted to pull off. And now, granted, we can talk about all the other countries of the European Union and their bluffs, but for right now, we're dealing with, when we're looking at this implosion event. So these are the things you have to understand when you're looking for telltale signs within the market, when you're looking at the market to speak to you. It's the same thing as regular news media, okay? Turn off the squawk boxes. Turn off the talking heads, okay? Watch just data on the stock market. Watch numbers throughout the day and see that the stock market has a general ebb and flow, black box trading included. It plays on in a certain fashion. Now, whether it's evil or moral, that's a whole nother discussion. But you can see its general working flow. And then when something happens that is outside of that natural working flow, those are the things you want to look at, because those are the things that are going to gnaw away at the natural flow until it no longer has the ability to continue its natural crooked bank robbing flow. Okay? And these are things that you want to be paying attention to. Look at the anomalies going on. An anomaly is basically an out of the norm event. Things that don't normally happen. You don't see them all the time. And then what you want to do over time is correlate that data to extrapolate a timeline from it. Basically, you look into the past and see what the rapid succession was. Average of, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months in between events, 6 months, a year. Okay. You're coming to the wider, much slower spectrum of the actual down or destruction of the economy. Back when things are sitting pretty and nobody notices anomalies because they're rare when they happen, but they do alter things. And then as you move into the future, because of the way the system is created, because of the way it works, it produces more anomalies. It produces more exotic particles, okay, within the event. And then those exotic particles, those events start taking place closer and closer together. So you can actually create for yourself a timeline of events and come up with an average destination time on how these things unfold. Is that always true? Well, once again, no, because other events can happen and speed them up beyond your calculation of control. We'll be right back after these messages.
Hey guys, Charlie McGrath here at WideAwakeNews.com, and I'm here to tell you I believe that Chris and the folks over at SeedsNow.com offer the best product at the best prices with the best service of anybody in the market. But don't take my word for it. Listen to what some of their customers have to say. Joshua in Florida writes, exceeded my expectations. Shipping was prompt and a number of my plants are already starting to sprout. Thanks for being great. And Ryan in California writes, I just received my Homestead Seed Bank, my all-in-one prepper pack, and seed-to-seed storage and growing guidebook, and I could not be more pleased. Thanks, Seeds Now. Now I can start growing and get off the GMOs. Keep up the great work. And the list goes on and on. Guys, it's time to make SeedsNow.com an integral part of your long-term preparedness strategy. Please call them at 877-344-4669. That number again, 877-344-4669. Or better yet, visit them today at SeedsNow.com.
If you're taking 1, 2, 5, or more nutritional supplements every day, please stop. Simplify your supplementation with Bio Superfood, the most advanced nutritional whole food supplement you can buy. Men, women, children, and even Olympic athletes the world over have discovered Bio Superfood from BioAge.com and now take just one nutritional supplement instead of many. The Bio Superfood formulas are whole food products composed with 4 of the most nutrient-dense algae species found on Earth. Bio Superfood for the brain helps with focus, memory, clarity, and mood. Bio Superfood is a strong defender in the fight against radiation exposure. Bio Superfood has 0 toxicity, is safe, and has no contraindications whatsoever. Learn more and order your Bio Superfood formulas at BioAge.com. That's spelled BIOAGE.com. BioAge.com. Or you can call 877-288-9116. That's 877-288-9116. BioAge, the age of advanced organics.
Are you or someone that you love struggling to reclaim your health? My name is Matthew David Hurtado, CEO of RNADrops.com. In 2008, I struggled with chronic fatigue syndrome, PTSD, and Lyme's. I thought that all hope was gone as I lost everything in the process. In 2009, a miracle happened. I discovered Ion and RNA drops. 2 months after taking RNA drops, the chronic fatigue and the PTSD had vanished into thin air. I'd like to invite you to discover RNA drops by visiting www.rnafreemini.com today. That's rnafreemini.com today. Listen to hours of testimonials and get a free trial bottle. Pay only shipping and handling by visiting www.rnafreemini.com.
Or give us a call at 1-888-550-8231. That's 888-550-8231. Hurry, supplies are limited.
Make a promise, take a vow, trust your feelings, it's easy now. Understand the voice within and feel a change already beginning. Oh, won't you tell me again? Oh, can you feel it? Oh, won't you tell me again?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for our last segment of the first hour, where Charlie will be returning in the second hour, I think. I am not completely sure. He has not contacted me to let me know. And, looking at these market indicators now, let's also look at the events taking place on the streets of Cyprus. Okay, yeah, there are some protests. They aren't making any traction. They're not getting anything done. Okay? Which is we can go into the whole mentality of these types of protests and so forth. And they protested, and did it get them answers? As they raced down to the bank and they made bank runs? Well, their government, as well as the Brussels government, stepped in and closed the banks and said, "Oh, you don't get your money. We're going to figure this out first. And if we make you pay, you'll pay. So we're going to lock up all the banks and you don't get any of your money." Now, they have no recourse. Of course, they could, they could overrun the Capitol buildings. They could do whatever they needed to do to take back the terra firma and the ground within their own country. However, I can tell you this fictional thing is of money. Okay, it's all electronic. Even if you take the local banks, the only thing you can do is kick them out, which is the best thing you can do. Okay, and just not let them ever return. No more Federal Reserve banking system. Okay, none of that. No more central banks. None of that horse pocky. But that's really up to the people of Cyprus. But you see, they have no firearms. Okay, they get picks, hose, whatever they can find, around the house. Yeah, they could be dangerous weapons, but seriously, they're armed guards. The government is surrounded by armed guards, guys with machine guns and weapons. The information and data that they're attempting to utilize is stored out of country on other servers. Okay, by foreign assets, by foreign entanglements, and the people who chose to revolt, who chose to say no, who chose to say, "Wait a minute, you're gonna steal our money in broad daylight. We're not going to let it happen." Well, the most they accomplished is they stood in the streets, and now the government is starving them to death. Okay, people don't understand that by freezing your money, it puts you into panic mode. Okay, if you have no way to access food, if you have no way to access water, and so on, it is a terrorist idea or a terrorist enactment. Okay, to basically freeze someone's money and use attrition, okay, you need to look up what attrition is, to basically wait you out. Oh, you guys don't want to pay 10%? You don't want to give us 10% of your money? Well, guess what? We're going to close the bank so you can't get your money, and we're going to wait X amount of days, and then we're going to give you a decision, okay? And basically what you do is you have no money during those day periods. If you don't have any food in your house, you're going to have to go to a neighbor's, and, you know, are you going to continue going to work if the banks won't allow you access to your money? Okay? And people say, well, you can't hold that against, well, are those corporations still making money? Can they transact business? Then why are you helping them? Because if they can still transact business, that means that they don't agree with you, that they agree with the government and the banking system, and they're going to allow whatever to happen. So your corporate jobs are not your friend. So here you are in a situation where this completely integrated form of life, credit cards and all those things, it's all gone. It's frozen. It's locked up. Okay? People really need to understand how intricately working this is and how so engrossed the whole entire world is with one system, with one mode of thinking. And anyone who doesn't agree with them are the ones that they're at war with. Whether or not you agree with the people they're at war with, I don't care if you believe in what Iran believes in. I don't care if you believe in what Syria believes in. I don't care if you hate their guts and whatnot. But here's a newsflash. They don't agree with the United States government, and they're attempting to do their own thing. Now, whether that brings harm to you or not doesn't matter to the Pentagon, because that makes it, they love it. Because every time the bank has a problem, that means they get to bomb somebody. That means they get to kill people. They get to go in and stomp women and children into the ground and pull their houses down on top of them and laugh at them and, you know, throw chocolate bars at kids' head who don't understand and they're starving, you know, have them chase military trucks down the road, chasing a water bottle because, you know, they're so damn thirsty, their mouth feels like the Sahara Desert, and so on and so forth. I mean, people can ignore these things and we can go on all day. But these are the events that are taking place. And I would be aware that what is going on in these nations is sculpted by us. Okay? Our lack of doing anything about what the Pentagon does, our lack of doing anything about what Congress does in these other countries, well, that makes us guilty. Because there are things we can do. We could be taking action. But we're not. We're sitting around going, well, when they come for my stuff, you think back and you really look at times and you really look at people who survived through what some people believe or what the world believes to be one of the most horrendous occasions ever. You talk about the Jews. Well, let's take this aspect where the gentleman said, well, you know, they came from the gypsies and the cripples and they came for these people and I was none of those. Well, he was talking about within a population, a microcosm of the world's population. So let's step back and look at it from macro world population. Let's look at the whole soup together. Well, I was an American. Therefore, I wasn't a Grecian. I wasn't an Italian. I wasn't a Spaniard. So I didn't help them when they needed me. I wasn't from Holland. I certainly wasn't from the tiny little island of Cyprus. So when they cried out for our help, we did nothing. But then one day they came to America, and they wanted Americans. And there was no one left to aid me. It is the same idea. You just simply are last on the list. You are the hardest one to deal with. Therefore, they're going to pick off everything on the outskirts and work their way in. This is how this idea works. This is a divide and conquer theory. Right now, you think it is your fight, your American fight, which it is. The heritage of the Bill of Rights, the heritage of the Constitution, the Articles of Confederation, the Declaration of Independence. You know, these things that actually made and created the law that actually became known to everyone as the natural common law. So, when you look at these aspects and you look around the world, understand that there is a personal fight for you as an American who aspires to be all that he can be as a free and independent individual. But also understand that there are people around the world that the very same individual that you call your enemy, the Federal Reserve marriage, so that's what we'll call it, the Federal Reserve marriage. And we didn't have a prenup when we agreed to it. And that dirty wench is trying to take everything. Now, when you look at this, you're in one state of for yourself. And I can understand that. It's the most passionate. Your family. These are the things that are going to drive you. But you have to realize that this enemy, this marriage, that is, it casts a shadow on the entire globe. Okay? It's trying to gobble up the last few remaining countries that aren't that aren't bathed in its darkness of its shadow. It is attempting to do all it can to take over the entire world as Marxism said it should. It said it's the only way to victory, is to take the whole thing. Now the reality here is that people need to understand is that this war, which you could cripple the U.S. government and the Pentagon from its world conquests if you draw its eye upon you. In other words, that's right. Get up, get a big stick, and poke the nasty thing until it's focused on you. Which is where it should be anyways. We gave birth to this thing. Our generations before us allowed these weaselly bastards to worm their way in. We were fat and lazy and only cared about iPods and a summer home and whether or not I got 1 or 2 cars in the driveway. Is my kid going to an exorbitantly overpriced college with a big name on the front? These are the things they got distracted by. They were told that the world was now a peaceful, wonderful place after World War II, and all the dragons had been slain, and the dragon hunters could go back to sleep while the dragons moved into your backyard. And so that you wouldn't look over your shoulder and see the man-eating dragons, they put a giant big screen TV in front of you. But don't worry, you can make payments. They gave you newfangled doodads and clickety-clacks that go in your hands. Don't look out the window. Don't look at us take your country away for the last 100 years, 200 years. This isn't a new event, okay? This is an ongoing event. And at any point, yes, that's right, at any point you so choose, as a small group or a large group, to simply stop playing the game. To simply tell them no. Will your situation improve? Not instantly. You may very well become martyred or imprisoned or never heard from again, one way or the other. The reality is it has to happen. It will only get worse. The longer you wait, the worse it will be for your children. The worse it will be for your nephews and cousins and brothers and sisters and your neighbors and the little old people that live down the street. At some point, if we sit around and we do nothing, they'll be gassing people. They'll be doing anything that they want to under the guise of population control or something else. What is needed here is action. Thank you for listening.
Soldiers that are out today to brush the dust from bulletproof vests away. It's ironic, at times like this you pray, but a bomb blew the mosque up yesterday. There's bombs on the buses, bikes, roads, inside your market, your shops, your clothes. My dad, he's got a lot of fear, I know, but enough pride inside not to let that show. My brother had a book he would hold with pride, a little red cover with a broken spine on the back. He hand wrote a quote inside: when the rich wage war, it's the poor who die. Meanwhile, the leader just talks away, stuttering and mumbling the nightly news that would play. The rest of the world watching at the end of the day, both scared and angry, like, what did he say?
Will 2012 bring the Mayan end of world or the global banking collapse? In 2007, one man, Mike Dillard, made 5 predictions which forecasted the 2008 economic crisis and the pending Eurozone collapse. This week, Mike unleashes 3 brand new, shocking, must-watch videos with predictions for the coming year. www.the3videos.com. Over the past year, Mike Dillard has helped thousands of ordinary people create and recover wealth by tapping into the black box investing strategies the big banks don't want you to know about. www.the3videos.com. As the European banking system implodes and governments collapse at breakneck speeds, the next 12 months will be the most anticipated and important months in modern human history. This will make 2008 look like a walk in the park. Everyone will be affected. Go to www.the3videos.com now. Learn how to prepare your family and prosper during the global financial collapse.
Liberty Coin and Precious Metals is one of the fastest growing gold sellers in the country. And as one of their customers, I know why. They simplify the process of buying coins and precious metals. No hidden fees, no hard sell, no mystery. Just great prices. In fact, some of the best in the nation. And they post their buy and sell prices on the web and in their stores. I value that transparency. And Liberty's experts took the time to get to know me and my investment needs. And they're serious about privacy. There are so many reasons I'm now a Liberty Coin and Precious Metals customer. But the most important is I trust Liberty. Call Liberty Coin and Precious Metals. 877-511-COIN. That's 877-511-COIN. Or on the web at libertycpm.com.
Liberty.
You're listening to the Rents Radio Network, nationwide and worldwide on the net and at rents.com.